Good morning. It's such a pleasure and a privilege to be with you, and it's been such an amazing experience to be part of Resource Global Nairobi 2021. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'll just give a background of what my journey has been in Resource Global. If I'm to use one word for it, I will use the word surprising. I think I came in maybe a little skeptical, just saying, okay, there's nothing new under the sun. You know what new teaching is this? But I've really just been blown away because month after month after month, I have been made to grapple with, what do I really believe? What is my worldview? I say I'm a Christian, but what is my position on Christian leadership, on Christian identity? So, hi, my name is Kathy. My full names are Catherine Jeru. I am 32 years old. I live in Nairobi. That's where I was born and bred. Specifically, Buruburu, actually, is where I spent my childhood and went to schools around Nairobi and live here to this day. I am a pediatrician by profession. So a good friend of mine told me about the program, and it came at such a great time in my life because I had finished my master's and I was really now thinking about what next. It wasn't enough to just be like, okay, be successful, make money, and have a comfortable life. Okay, so faith is what I believe. It's the foundation of my life. It's why I do what I do. In summary, yeah, and work is where I spend a lot of my time. So I feel like the two must connect. Otherwise, then life becomes either very hypocritical or disconnected. Yeah, and for me, I mean, again, this is why this program is so, or drew me, was so interesting for me to just try to find where is the connect. What I have been convicted about is to ask myself, what is God's agenda? Where is God, and how can I join Him in that agenda? And that's what I hope to achieve with this program, to just hear more of that and then have the courage and the resources to plug in.
Man, I think it was very heavy both personally and in my work life because I think I like to tick boxes, to do what's expected, to follow the timelines. And I feel like, in fact, the verse I really liked from the story of Joseph is that he made it when he was 30 years old. That's when he changed in one day from being a prisoner to like the second in command. And I feel a lot of times just that hurry we can be in to tick certain boxes, and God is just like, no, trust me, follow me. I'm not leading you on the wrong track. The temptation has been so great to sort of do my own thing when I see God not coming. The quotes that have stood out so far in the conference, one is trust the process, just because it's such a cliche, but it's actually true and it is grounded in scripture. Again, from the sharing from Pastor Mwangi, looking at the life of Joseph and just how God had prepared him for the role He had called him. So I was reminded to trust the process. And the second thing was something Dave Evans said, from his sharing on Friday, I believe. And it was that acceptance is a prerequisite for obedience. I think that just really struck me because I can be head in the sand, refusing to accept situations, and just the powerful lesson that until you seek to understand, seek to listen, seek to accept, and then now try to find practical solutions. That's really where everything starts. I think the biggest way my view of leadership has changed so far has just been to remember that we are here to make an impact, make a difference. Sometimes we can confuse being Christian with being a Kenyan word is mpole, or just being a little passive and letting things act out. So I think for me, it's just such a call to step out in courage, to not be afraid, to be bold where God has placed us and where He has called us.
So, like, one of my key takeaways was the very first time when we talked about the biblical worldview and just how, looking from Genesis to Revelation, we are on this march towards the redemption and the work God is doing, and how can we come along and join that plan. So that has been maybe the core of my journey in Resource Global.
my training is that I'm a pediatrician, so I work with children. I'm a doctor who works with children. And one of the areas that is very close to my heart is childhood cancer. One of the foundational realities about this in the country is only 20% of children diagnosed in developing countries like Kenya will survive. And the inverse is true in developed countries like the US, Canada, Europe, etc. So we have this glaring gap, and it means that we know what to do. We know how to treat these kids. We just have so much brokenness in our healthcare system that we're not able to reach them in time. And it's really, just such a shame. And then beginning to ask, okay, everything that I have experienced, or all my training and experiences have led me to this place, even though sometimes it feels very overwhelming. As you look at those numbers, you can imagine we lose a lot of kids, and so that was scary for me to commit to sort of this cause and purpose that maybe sometimes seems like a losing battle. But I have been more and more encouraged that because it seems greater than me, it is an area where I need to lean on God, on His wisdom, depend on Him. And there's so much to do. So in terms of the solution, I had to grapple with a few things. I think as an individual, my very first step was a conviction that I need to train more. So more than being a pediatrician, I have applied now to go back to school to become a pediatric hemato-oncologist. That would be the title. And really to become an expert in the field, because I think that is, the first way to start to make an impact. But beyond that, for the now, I think starting to provide linkage so that these kids get earlier diagnosed and get into the right hands in time. So to that end, I have identified an organization to partner with. They're called Hope for Cancer Kids. They already are on the ground in the public hospitals in different locations in the country. So going in as a medical liaison and strengthening those links and beginning to connect these kids to centers of treatment earlier and earlier, and really even introducing probably a spiritual support arm that I think there's a lot to explore there and to be missional in that direction. Yeah, and I think my other gifting is in writing, so starting to write stories of hope to draw more and more traffic to the website to inspire more and support these families. Thank you.